Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Nicole and I'm a pelvic floor specialist, and I've been doing something really interesting on my channel. Well, I think it's interesting. I was sharing my pregnancy journey with everyone that's following my channel, and I thought it would be really cool to bring on some special guests that would also share their pregnancy journeys and some of the obstacles that they face. So today I'm really excited because I have Ryenn that is very willing to share her story with me, and I know it's a little bit vulnerable and maybe nerve-wracking to share your story, but I'm really thankful that you're here, Ryenn.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I guess let's start from the beginning, Ryenn. When you were first thinking about growing your family and getting pregnant, about how long ago was that, and how did you anticipate, what did you think that was going to look like for your family?
Well, we started seriously planning to have kids about 6 years ago. Prior to that, I always knew I wanted to be a mom. So it has been on my mind most of my life. So I'd say the journey really started when I was diagnosed with PCOS about 12 years ago now. So
Tell us a little bit about what PCOS is and what that means for you or for anyone else with that diagnosis about like getting pregnant.
So PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. It has different symptoms for literally everyone who has it. But one of the main things that everybody has are cysts on their ovaries and irregular periods. For me personally, my symptoms included having periods that lasted months on end. A lot of women go without periods at all, which I had at different times in my life. It's gone back and forth. You deal with a lot of weight gain. Insulin resistance was one of my symptoms, and just general difficulties with fertility. So when I got diagnosed with that at 18, I had actually just started dating my husband. So I already knew that I wanted to marry him, and like those were plans. So he has been on this whole journey with me. And so we kind of had an idea that it might be difficult by the time we decided to have kids. And at that point, it might even be impossible. Unfortunately, a lot of doctors didn't know what kind of road we'd end up on because nobody knows a lot about PCOS.
Yeah. Did you feel like you had to fight for that diagnosis or like really say like something isn't right, or were doctors like really helpful in that process?
So I probably started having symptoms as soon as I started having periods at about 14, and most doctors immediately wanted to put me on birth control. My mom, of course, was like, absolutely not. That's not a thing we're going to be doing. And for the most part, birth control tends to just be a band-aid for PCOS anyway. So by the time I hit 18, I was dealing with pretty severe symptoms. Like I said, periods that literally were lasting months on end. So I was barely being able to make it through my college classes. I was exhausted all the time. I had read about PCOS. I was looking at all the symptoms. I have a lot of this. And in fact, most of the women on my mother's side of the family have had a lot of these symptoms. So I think that this is something that I have. So I went to multiple doctors asking for the diagnosis, and finally found a nurse practitioner who was willing to actually take a look at my ovaries and diagnose me with PCOS. When I was just before I turned 19.
Okay. I know that it's in the people I've heard with a similar experience, it seems like it's really hard to get them to like look inside, especially that early on. But I'm guessing it was probably helpful for you and your husband because that kind of like helped you like anticipate what was ahead.
I would say so. You can never really know until you're in it. But because I'd already been through a lot of those things, I would say I was much more in tune with what's going on with my body. And I know to trust myself over other people.
Yeah, I love that you were an advocate for yourself. That's great. Knowing that the journey was maybe going to be long, maybe impossible, were there things that you were able to do? I know a lot of it was out of your control, but things that you could do to like increase your chances of getting pregnant?
So I worked really hard at trying to work out and eat. I tried probably every diet on the planet. Nothing really stuck. But working out, taking vitamins, myo-inositol is a pretty common thing that a lot of women with PCOS take. Just really tried to be healthy in general. I did go on birth control for a number of years because I couldn't work through having periods that were lasting forever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah, it was mostly just trying to live a healthier lifestyle in general.
Yeah. Do you feel like any of that like helped you feel better, or was any of it like that worked? If someone watching this is like, there's a million things out there. What worked for Ryenn? What was there anything that stands out to you?
Working out has always made me feel better. It's one of those things where even if my body doesn't look the way that I'm expecting it to or wanting it to, I know I'm doing that work. So I know that my body can do these things. And so I feel like that's always been really beneficial because it's beyond your physical health. It's a lot about your mental health as well when it comes to PCOS. So one of the things I guess I also did was started seeing a therapist. And I think that that was really beneficial. Um, the other thing that I think finally really worked for me was to stop dieting and to just look at fueling myself with healthy things and not limiting what I could have, but making sure I was making better choices. So if I'm just eating whole grains and full fats and all the things that are really good for you, that I knew that I was putting good things in my body. And so
That's awesome. That's so helpful. Okay, so the moment I'm sure most people are waiting for is, where are you at in your journey now? Like where has that all led you so far?
like I said, 6 years ago is when we started trying actively to have a child. Things did not go smoothly. We ended up working with the First Fertility Center of Michigan. I cannot say more wonderful things about Dr. Dodds and their team there. Um, we were very blessed in that we didn't have to go all the way into IVF, though that was on the planned trajectory. So just over a year ago, after taking a little bit of a mental health break from trying, um, I went back to Dr. Dodds. And so he started me on a few different medications, and we ended up doing um, the Avidril trigger shot and some timed um, things so that we could get pregnant with our daughter. So I had Jane back on July 6th, and she's healthy and everything went pretty smoothly. Didn't go nearly as planned as most of this has gone. So I should have anticipated that. Of course, I didn't. But we were very happy and uh, excited that we could finally enjoy our little girl.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I'm just so
Thank
happy
you.
for your family. If you were to share a piece of advice or a word of encouragement for someone that is on a journey, maybe specifically with PCOS, what would you say to them, or what would you say to yourself 6 years ago?
It's a couple of things, really. One being, don't let PCOS be the only thing that defines you. I feel like I went many years going like, well, I can't do this, I don't do this, I don't look this way because I have PCOS. And so it's been so much time wallowing in that fact that I couldn't get past it. And so in turn, my other piece of advice was, don't let it steal your joy. There's so many good things happening in your life that don't have anything to do with that and are not hindered by that, that I think that that's just a really important thing to keep in mind, because the good things will come. It's going to take hard work. This is not to diminish the difficulty that it takes to get to those places, but there are a lot of good things happening today. And so you don't want to look back and regret not appreciating all of that on the journey to where you are.
Yeah, I love that. Do you ever feel like there were any points where you actually weren't trying? I talked about this with other people as well. Like sometimes once you get to know your cycle and your body so well, it's like you're always kind of like trying. But were there any things that helped you? I know you guys said you took a pause for a little bit. Like what helps you actually mentally like step away from it and see the good things in your life?
Absolutely, taking a pause from it was a huge part of that. Everybody around me, like all of our friends got pregnant um, at one time. And that was really, really, really tough. And so making the decision to say, okay, I'm going to get back on birth control so I can try and work on managing my symptoms through some better diet and exercise, kind of get back on track. It kind of took out the option that I could be pregnant. So then I was able to focus more on what was going on in my life that had nothing to do with having kids or any of that. And I think that that was really beneficial. Just finding other things in your life going on that don't revolve around that. And therefore working on your relationship a little bit more too. So it doesn't have to only be about the fact that you can't have children.
Yeah, I'm sure that's very taxing on your relationship for sure. Ryenn, thank you so much for sharing your journey. I know that there's lots of women out there looking for hope, looking for encouragement, like ways to mentally get through all the challenges of PCOS, and just maybe even informing us about things that could happen. I think some of us just think as soon as I want to start my family, like I will, it'll happen. And then we actually go to get pregnant and there's just lots of obstacles in the way we were totally unprepared for. So thank you so much for being willing to be so open and share your journey, because I really do think it's going to help a lot of people out there.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to have been able to. I know that I struggled to find people who were open to talk about those things when I was first diagnosed. So I only hope that I can use the difficulties from my story to help somebody else along with theirs.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, and best of luck with your growing family. I'm sure now you have a whole new role to grow into as a mom. So good luck with all that. And thank you again.
Thank you so much.